Hi friends, how are you? I hope you're having a great day. It's supposed to be so warm out in New York, so that's so exciting. Get out for your walks in between your break and get some fresh air, get outside. So I wanted to talk today about the difference between hunger cues, cravings, and buzzers. And a lot of times in the beginning of working with people, we're relearning what our body cues are actually meaning and telling us. And I think the biggest reason that we are so disconnected from our hunger cues, our fullness cues, and just overall body awareness is a couple things. But for so long, if we've been dieting or doing different diet programs, we are basically told to not listen to our body, to follow the rules, to eat certain foods, to not eat certain foods, to ignore hunger, and that actually we feel like if we're hungry, it's a bad thing. And all of these things that we've been told around diets, all of these rules, has actually damaged our ability to innately and intuitively eat, right? And recognize when we're hungry and when we're full during the day. So a lot of times we have to relearn these signals and what our body's actually telling us. Because if we think back when we're younger, we're born to understand this, right? As babies, as children, they know when they're hungry, they know when they're full. And over time, if we're told to disconnect from our bodies and not pay attention, we aren't as aware of these cues. And yeah, there's some other variables and factors that can affect this when, stress is high or different areas of our lives that we still have to make sure that we're eating. But this is something I see so often. So some of the things that we can look at for actual hunger cues, and I'm asking my clients this around meals when they're doing food journaling of when you're walking into a meal, rate your hunger on a scale that we use together. And then after a meal, rate your fullness, like how full are you? So we use a scale of 0 to 10, and it's kind of like the pain scale. If you were to go to the doctor and they're like, rate your pain on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being, highest and 0 being lowest. So it's a very similar way that we're looking at hunger and fullness cues. So when we're walking into meals in this overly hungry place where we probably haven't eaten for an extended period of time, all we can think about is eating, we're ravenous, that is the moment, those are the moments that we're more likely to overeat at that meal. And then we leave that meal feeling more uncomfortably full, painfully full, like, oh, I have to unbutton my pants, just like overall not great. And very often, this is the place I see people. It's either like starving or overly full, like stuffed, right? So the goal is that we re-find this beautiful middle ground, right? Of feeling hunger, but not starving when we're walking into a meal, like recognizing, okay, like I'm feeling some hunger cues, I'm ready to eat. And then when we leave a meal, we're feeling comfortably satisfied. A lot of people are not understanding even what that means, right? Like I've never really felt like I was satisfied when I left a meal. I either felt like I didn't have enough or I had a craving for something else. And a part of that too is because you're missing a component maybe of the meal, a food group that was missing or not enough of that. So that's where I'm really breaking this down with my nutrition clients around feedback with their meals of like, oh, we didn't get enough of a certain macronutrient or enough calories. Maybe we had too long in between the space of meals that you're having, and part of the reason why you're feeling overly hungry when you're walking into a meal. So all of these things is really just awareness in the beginning and identifying how am I feeling during the day? In the beginning also, sometimes we have to retrain this process. So maybe you aren't hungry in the morning for breakfast, but we do have to start to change your patterns to incorporate these meals more consistently during the day. A lot of times when we're not eating enough during the day, that's when we're overly hungry later, and that leads to overeating at night as well. So having more consistency with meal times and balancing your meals effectively, super helpful, as well as really checking in with how you're feeling before and after meals. The other thing I wanted to go over was what's the difference between like a craving, hunger, and buzzer, right? So we talked about what hunger looks like and feels like. Hunger is really like a physical sign. So you'll also recognize maybe like, yeah, like a rumbly stomach. You'll have difficulty concentrating or focusing, maybe brain fog. So we're not getting the energy our body needs, our brain needs to function more effectively. And then if we're looking at something like a buzzer, this is going to be environmental. So say that you get home and your daughter brought home a whole bunch of delicious, beautiful smelling donuts, right? That's a buzzer. Like maybe when you walked in the door, you weren't thinking, oh, like I really feel like a donut, but because it was there in your environment, it made you want to eat that food, right? So that's the difference between maybe like a craving and a buzzer. A craving is in your brain like an overwhelming feeling and a desire. All you can think about is eating that food, and it's distracting. Like you can't do anything else but focus on, I need this food, right? So a lot of things can come into play with that. That can come from over restricting, during the day, not getting enough calories or certain nutrients, or coming from a place of restricting certain foods and feeling like we can't have them. And then that's all we think about, right? It's like telling your kids they can't have something. That's all they're thinking about. And they're going to ask you 10 million times until you let them do it. So we're humans. Like this is just how we're wired. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just that if we're constantly not paying attention to the natural, our body is built for survival and it wants to create this homeostasis and balance. And if we're not giving it what it needs, it's going to send us signals. It's going to send us signs. And a lot of times we're just not paying attention. We're ignoring these signs. And then later on, we're overeating or feeling out of control with foods, which leads to feelings of frustration, guilt, all of those. So by actually giving your body enough energy, enough nutrition, and listening to what it's needing, things start to balance out, right? We have this like middle ground that I was saying of like less highs and lows, less of these extremes of like food is like the most exciting thing of my day and the only thing I have to look forward to. We find more of this mix and balance between enjoying fun foods, the things we actually want into our day, into our lives without feeling out of control. So let me know, was this helpful for you? Is this something that you were like, wow, I really don't even know what it means to feel satisfied, or I really don't pay attention to my hunger cues. I either just say, it's either time to eat, or I recognize, I am skipping a lot of meals during the day without noticing that. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions around this or if I can do anything to support you, and I will talk to you soon.